Hey there, people of promise. Welcome to VBS-POP Week 7. Let's start with our theme song. Standing on the promises of Christ my King, through eternal ages let His praises ring. Glory in the highest I will shout and sing, standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises I cannot fail. Listening every moment to the Spirit's flow. Resting in my Savior, He's my all and all. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of God, my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God. Today's story is about David and Goliath. Let's get out our banner. We need to write David on our purple E. Okay, John, tell us our story.
Hello, I'm back with my friend John, and he's going to tell us a story. But before we do you notice anything weird about these chairs we're sitting in? They are tiny chairs, aren't they?
They are indeed.
These chairs were made for smaller bodies than we have, weren't they?
They were indeed.
But, you know, when I sit in a tiny chair, it makes me feel big. And it makes me feel like a giant. Do you feel like a giant today, John?
I do.
I do. We feel giant today because of our tiny chairs. So we're actually going to hear a story about a giant. John, can you tell us a story?
I sure can, and it's called David and Goliath. King Saul and his army looked out from their mountain hideout. Their enemies, the Philistines, were camped on the opposite mountain. In the valley between stood Goliath, the tallest man Saul had ever seen. "Who will fight me?" Goliath roared, waving his spear. "Who can face the mighty Goliath?" he shouted, lifting his sword. Saul and his army were afraid. They could not win against the Philistines. They could not beat Goliath. Surely they would be captured and become slaves. A beam of sunlight bounced off of Goliath's bronze helmet. His voice shook the leaves in the trees. All the birds hid behind their branches. "Send out your best warrior," Goliath ordered. "Let him fight against me. If I win, you will be our slaves. If your soldier wins, we will serve you and your God." Saul waited. No one stepped forward to take Goliath's challenge. Saul felt a small tug on his sleeve. Looking down, he saw David, a young shepherd boy. "I will do it, King Saul," David said. "I will fight Goliath." "You are a boy. How can you beat a gigantic man like Goliath?" Saul turned to go. "Wait, King Saul," David said. "God protects me from the wolves and bears that go after my sheep. God will protect me now too." David reached down and picked up 5 smooth stones. In his right hand, he carried the same sling he used to chase away the wolves and wild animals. Saul patted David's head and pointed down the rocky path leading to the valley. Goliath laughed when he saw David. "You are the warrior they sent out against me?" David slipped his hand into his pouch and selected a stone. "I am not afraid of your spear and sword, Goliath." David rushed toward Goliath, swinging his sling. The smooth stone flew through the air and hit Goliath in the forehead. Down, 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 Goliath fell. Down fell his sword. Down fell his spear. Down fell his mighty shield. David picked up Goliath's bronze helmet from the ground and held it high in the air. Saul and all his soldiers rose up with a shout. David, a small shepherd boy, had beaten the mighty Goliath. When the Philistines saw that Goliath had fallen, they were afraid and ran away. Trusting in God gave David courage when he needed it most. And one thing that you can do is to keep a small smooth stone in your pocket if you choose to. Touch it whenever you feel afraid, and it'll remind you that God is always with you.
Very good, John. Thank you for that story. That's a fun story. Though I gotta say, if we're feeling like giants, that doesn't really, we don't really want to be the giant in that story, do we?
No.
But if you look in your pop packet, you've got a paper on David and Goliath, and you have some activities you can do. You can color Goliath. There's all kinds of things that you can do with your flyer. But also, you have a picture here, and this is a picture of Goliath. You also had some popcorn. Now, I already popped our popcorn, so make sure you pop your popcorn. We're going to do something fun. And you had a cup. And this is definitely a peculiar pop packet this time, isn't it? So I thought something we could do is we're going to fight Goliath too. But we're not going to throw stones. We're going to throw popcorn. So I want you to take your Goliath and your cup. Set your cup on the table. Put your Goliath right behind your cup so they're both sitting flat on the table. And then we're going to take Goliath to the cup.
Oh, wow, that's cute.
Okay? So there. Now we have Goliath sitting with the cup in front of him. Just like that. I want you to pop your popcorn. Don't eat it yet. You'll get to. Don't worry. And open our popcorn. Here. And then I want you to set your Goliath. So I'll set it over here. And we're going to take a piece of popcorn and we're going to throw it right at Goliath's forehead and see if it makes it into the cup. See, I missed. Try as often as you want. See, can you get, oh, I got it in the cup. Here, John, why don't you try?
Sure thing.
We'll put it over here.
Okay.
Try to hit Goliath right in the head and go into the cup.
Oh.
Oh, good job. Hey, we're taking him down, right?
Not quite on his head, but good
That's
enough.
okay. So I want you to try to take down Goliath with your popcorn and get your popcorn into the cup. And then, of course, you can eat your popcorn. So here, have some popcorn, John, if you like.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So that's our activity we're going to do to remember to take down Goliath. So, John, do you think David was scared?
Well, I'm sure he was. Sorry, I'm not eating my.
No, that's okay. This is a popcorn conversation.
But you could tell in his voice that he really believed that he had God on his side, that God was with him.
Right.
And that God shielded him from the wolves and the wild animals when they were trying to attack his sheep. And he used that sling that he would keep them away from the sheep. So he had confidence too. He was afraid, but he was confident because he had God on his side.
And that's interesting you bring up that that's been David's experience. He's just a boy. He's a kid. His experience, he's been shielded from wolves and wild animals and, right? I mean, that's the same thing that's happened in your life too. God keeps you from wolves and wild animals, right? Is that what we do? Yeah, no, not me. I don't think I've ever been face to face with a wolf or wild animal in my day-to-day life. But that's what life was like for kids back then. And it's different now, but the one thing that's the same is God is still with us.
Right.
No matter what we're facing, God is still with us. And he had to take on an actual giant. Now, sometimes we have to take on things that feel like giants. Something hard and new, maybe scary. And it feels like that's a giant we have to take on. But it's important to remember that God is always with us, even when we have to do the hard things and take on the giants. Right?
Right. Exactly.
So I'd be interested to know, what are the giants you have to take on? I want you to think about that. What's something you've had to do that was hard and made some really big feelings and made some scary feelings, and then you did it and you knew God was with you? We all have a story like that. And, as most of you are kids and you've taken on all kinds of giants already. Something as simple as, being potty trained, learning how to tie your shoes, going to school for the first time, going to a new school. Every time something big changes, it can feel like we're taking on a giant. But no matter what these changes are, God's always with us, just like God was with David. So I like your suggestion, John, about having a smooth stone to take with you and to remember that, God is always with you.
Yep.
How do you think Goliath felt?
I think Goliath was a bit confident in the beginning, and I think he thought that this was going to be simple, that he was going to vanquish David or whoever they put up against him. So probably was tremendously surprised when that rock hit him that stone hit him in the forehead, and down he went.
Yeah. I think one of the big differences between David and Goliath is God wasn't on Goliath's side. And Goliath didn't think he needed God. So Goliath was just, all right, I'm going to take this on. God, just stay out of the way. I got this. And that's not how it works. And if we were trying to do something big like that and just not have God on our side, it wouldn't work either. Like when we take on our big things, we take on our challenges, we have to have God on our side or it's not going to work.
Right.
So it's always important to invite God to be on your side, to say, please help me with this and show me what I need to do. Show me what I need to not do. It's always important to remember God needs to be on our side. We need God. Even if we think we don't. We do.
We do indeed.
We do. So, well, this is a great story. I love this story, and of course, I love playing with popcorn, so enjoy your popcorn.
And enjoy shooting at Goliath.
Yeah, enjoy shooting at Goliath. So, I would recommend that you don't color Goliath before you throw popcorn at him, because you may end up getting crayons or markers on your popcorn, and then you won't want to eat it. So, you can color it later when you're done with your popcorn if you want to. But, all right, thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, see you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you again, John, for that story of David and Goliath. And what's really funny about that story is David is this little boy and a hero. He shined that day. He shined because God shined through him. And God shines through us, through Jesus. So let's sing Shine, Jesus, Shine. Thank you, Lisa. I love that song. All right, we've made it to the end of VBS week 7. All right, can you pray with me? Dear God, thank you for always being with us. Help us to remember that when we have to face our giants and do hard things and deal with big feelings, that you are always with us. Help us shine your light. Amen. Over to you, Madeline.
Be still and know that God is here. 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 Be still